Hey everybody, welcome to the Luthierist Podcast. I'm Paul Roney. Today on the show, my interview with Richard Legg of Indra Guitars out of the old UK, the Englands, over in the Europes. Oh boy, I am bad with geography, let me tell you. Tomorrow I will be at the Oregon Guitar and Musical Instrument Expo at the Milwaukee Portland Elks Lodge. Come by and say hi, come hang out. Have a good time. I'm going to have a hot mic for some of that. Get some stuff for the old show here. But mostly just checking out cool guitars and supporting my boys, Jason Rogers and Joe Parker Guitars. Joe Parker, we're going to talk to after the show, so he'll be coming up on the show here pretty soon, which should be fun. But in the meantime, this interview is awesome. I think Richard's work is really cool. He's one of those people that, we had an actual request. Somebody said, hey, get this guy on the show because what he's doing is rad. And I agree. And generally, if there's somebody that you want to hear from, that you want to hear on the show, shoot us an email, theluthierist@gmail.com, or, follow @theluthierist on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and shoot us a message via any of those, or tweet at us or anything like that. All those things, you can do those things, and we will get people on the show as much as we can. People don't always answer their DMs when we send them messages, so sometimes it takes a while, but we'll try. I'd love to talk to anybody and everybody and get them on this show. So without further ado, thank you for listening. Support the show. I love you. Enjoy the interview.
Oh, wow. This is so weird.
What? How so? Hi. Hey.
I don't know. I'm not used to. I'm not used to this kind of thing. It feels
remote interviews.
I don't know. Yeah.
Have you done many interviews, been covered in magazines or anything like that for your work?
No. I'm utterly unimportant. No one's ever talked to me about anything.
No?
Of any kind of significance. No. So not even in my personal life. Just one of those kind of people.
Do your friends even know you build guitars? They're like,
not that interested. Just like, shut up.
Enough of that already. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. I hear you. I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Wait, you're in London, right? London proper, or suburbs thereof?
No, Oh, that's weird. I can't hear myself at the same time. I used to be in London, and I moved out to Hastings, which is like the middle of nowhere. I live by the sea. It's already, it's nice.
Sounds nice. Is it? Can you see the sea out your window, kind of a thing?
Yes,
Very
I
cool.
can. Yeah, it's great. So I was living. It's really nice. It's been a long time getting here. Because I was living in London for like 5 years, and before that I was living somewhere else. And I was kind of trying to move here the whole time. So it's just been hard, but great now because it's really chilled out, and there's and I've got like a nice little workshop space. So,
tell me about that. Is it terribly big, or where do you?
No, it's not terribly big. It's terribly small. So it's like down the road from my flat, and I share it with an artist I went to university with, and basically it's his, and he's got the whole thing, and I've got like one little dusty box in the corner. Yeah. But that's how I like it. Luckily,
that's plenty. That's enough.
Yeah, and it's really good actually. It's really nice to have space. Although I'm trying to get better at utilizing that space rather than just throwing stuff all around me. But I'm really singular focused. So when I'm doing something, as soon as I stop needing it, I'll just be like, won't need that again, and then spend half an hour looking for it afterwards when I inevitably need it again. Yeah. So but the trials and tribulations of small workspaces, I suppose.
Yeah, I think everybody's always looking for better ways to organize things, and when you walk into a shop and there's just shelves and shelves and drawers, and everything's labeled neatly and everything, we're all kind of like, whoa, like this guy knows what he's doing, Because
definitely.
for the rest of us, it's like, oh, where'd I put that chisel?
Yeah. Oh, I've sat on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's in my leg, of course.
Yeah, there it is.
That's
it's,
why
well,
that
it's
hurts.
handy. At least it's easy to reach. But it's weird. I've got like the space I share is with this artist, and he's like kind of conceptual stuff. So like it's quite crazy. Like there's at the moment there's probably more than 5,000 toy cars there that will eventually become a piece of art, and then we shipped in loads of vintage cameras and stuff. So it's like my space feels like organized, and like I get to feel like the person with all the little stuff that's all labeled, even though relatively speaking, it's carnage. But it's nice. It's all relative, isn't it?
How did you meet this guy? Did you like go to art school with him?
We went to university together. So
okay.
And then kind of went off our separate ways. And it's nice though. It's nice to kind of different stuff. Like it's quite interesting. I get to watch him angle grinding cars to pieces, and then makes me feel.
Imagine that influences your work a bit.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's like not directly, but it's always nice to have kind of creative people around doing interesting stuff, And I've got. It's actually a really great space because it's like an industrial unit, and then it's all kind of partitioned up. So you've got like a really weird mix of people. You've got me and Lawrence, who are like luthier and artist, and then you've got some pretty serious carpenters and cabinet makers who are really great for me because I'm from the school of luthiery where I came with ideas and no experience at all about anything. Like my woodwork I kind of knew what I was doing, but the more time I spend with these guys, the more I realize I didn't know at all what I was doing. So that's been really good. And then you've got an artist, a guy who does like industrial steel fabrication.
Oh wow!
So and a musician who's got like a whole like studio there, which I only kind of discovered a couple of months ago. I was just like, oh my god, this is like a dream. Like he's an amazing musician, and he's just got all this stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, it sounds like a commune kind of a thing, like a co-op.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah,
it's great.
Well,
I couldn't ask for better.
Absolutely, I think so. I always love being around creative people, even if we're not doing the same thing. If we're just hanging out with anybody doing something, because you can pick up on little things too.
Yeah, and I think it's always better if they're not doing the same thing, because then you don't have that problem of kind of inadvertently copying. If someone's doing the same thing as you, you're kind of all. Sometimes it can be great and you're bouncing off of one another, but sometimes you just find you're kind of getting drawn into each other's kind of way of working, and that can not be good, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into it. Like, what as far as how you came about and how you got into all of this. So you went to university, sort of like art school, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But where did the guitar thing come from, and what sparked your interest in luthiery?
I suppose the twin pillars of my personality being tight with money and arrogant. I felt like I've played guitar for a long time, and there were guitars I wanted, and obviously being kind of an artist, I had no money at all. I just looked at stuff and was just like, I can build that. How difficult can it be? It's like putting it down the line. I realised how foolish that was. But just I was always fixing things anyway, and then I kind of was modifying guitars and stuff, and seeing that wasn't impossible, and so I just kind of started just bodging stuff together myself and being like, this is all right. Although looking back, it's like not really all right, but yeah, and then from there, I was kind of teaching a couple of people, and so they were seeing the stuff I was building, and they were interested. So I just kind of went from there, really. Just
teaching them guitar.
Yeah, okay. But and yeah, that was just kind of my route to, and I'm not only just kind of out of that phase really of just finding people that I know and saying, look, if you pay for the equipment and if you pay for the parts, I'll make you something, and that just being an opportunity for me to just make stuff where I'm not massively under pressure,
right?
And then kind of and I kind of I'm out, I'm just the other side of that now, but still learning. I guess I don't know. You probably don't ever stop learning.
No, well, hopefully not.
No.
So you came into it with basically no woodworking experience of any kind, and then
not really. I mean, a little bit. Okay. But, yeah.
In school, or where did that come from?
No. We in England we don't have wood shop at school at all. Though we don't learn anything remotely useful. Just me damning the whole education system in England on the basis that we don't learn anything useful. That's it, because I didn't learn how to build guitars at secondary school.
Yeah.
But no, I'd always been kind of into building stuff, and I'd done a bit of woodwork, but it was all really rough and kind of the refinement of that.
Yeah. What were some of the early challenges that you came across? When you started with the guitars.
Just getting things neat and precise, I guess. You kind of I think it's one of those things. When you don't know that much about it, you usually also don't have the equipment that makes it easy. So just getting things level and the whole lot really. It was all a bit of a nightmare. But yeah.
Were you?
I don't know. Just I don't learn things from other people very well. I have to. I come from the kind of oh fuck school of learning where I have to do things and fuck them up a couple of times. They'd be like, oh, that's not how you do it.
The hard way.
The hard way. I definitely learned things that way. So to start off with, it was all pretty difficult because I just didn't, I didn't really do much research. I just kind of went, okay, right, well, these are the parts, and now I'll kind of do it and see how it goes, and then so.
Would you say that that's how you overcame the hurdles, was just by fucking things up a lot, or did you buy books and start doing research or meet people?
No, I did a bit of research, but I'm just I haven't ever been very good at learning that way. I kind of, again, the pillars of my personality, arrogance. I can't learn from other people. I have to learn from my own foolish mistakes. So I think I learned that way. It's a good teacher, that kind of,
it is.
Regret.
Yeah. Even just in the midst of all the research, and you can go and talk to as many other guitar makers as you want. This is kind of my path, what I did, and is all talk to all these people and read all these books and forum posts and everything. I think you can do that, but until you actually, practice, until you actually get your hands on the router and the wood, and just go for it. You're not really going to actually learn. Yeah, I think
because people's experience is all different, isn't it? So, someone could say, oh, I do it like this, and it really works for them. But it's just like, yeah, but I'm not that person, And some people are coming from a background of, years of experience of using these pieces of equipment, or so when they do it, they're doing everything right, and they know exactly what they're doing. And then when you try and replicate what they do, it's like, well, you're not that person. You haven't got all those years of experience. So, I mean, it's the only way I can really do it. So, if the alternative of just reading books and then knowing it would be great. So much nicer than the
plug a USB cable into the back of your head and just download the information. Yeah,
wouldn't that be great? Be like, oh yeah, I know Kung Fu and all that.
Yeah.
But no, not for me. Not for me. Now I pick up a block of wood and I go back through all the different ways in which I've cocked it up, and go, now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
So, how many guitars are you making, like, on average per year or at any given point in time? What's kind of your volume looking like?
I don't know. Probably like 6, 7 at the moment a year.
Yeah.
Which is it really depends on what's happening, and how, when I was building the kind of ones for friends and stuff, like, it was quite a lot slower because it was from scratch, design up, right. And that takes ages. And I've done since. I mean, that massively depends on the client and how easy it is to convince them that they don't know what they're talking about and that your design is the best one. Sometimes that can take months.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to build what I want to build, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but you have to say that, in a subtle way.
Right.
Which I might be overselling my ability to do that, to be honest. But yeah. But yeah, at the moment, I guess I'm trying to think how many I've built this year.
Yeah, we're in October now, so it's been most of the year.
Yeah, it's been most of the year, hasn't it? I think I'm up to 5 this year.
Yeah.
I think.
Give or take.
But yeah, I mean, if the design thing isn't a factor, then it can be a fair bit quicker. Mm-hmm. But the design bit's the bit I enjoy most, I think. So
yeah. Well, you're like me in that sense. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
You have I've seen a couple of your guitars where it looks like you made more than one of that same style, that same design, but it seems like you have a pretty wide variety of designs that you do. Like, do you have standard models? Are you
I'm working towards that, yeah. Because because I think it's more practical to do that, and I mean, it's not. I don't think it's financially viable, really, to design a new guitar every time you have a new client, because it just unless if you're a one-person operation, which I am, it just takes forever. It takes ages doing that, and you're not doing anything else, and you're not getting any money coming in. So, and a lot of people aren't ready for that as well. Like although for me, like, the idea of being like, oh, I design my own guitar, like, that would be great. I guess that's why I'm good at that kind of thing, is because I like it. But for most, actually, that's a bit overwhelming, and it's nicer to just see something and go, oh, I want something like that, but slightly different.
Yeah. Pointed a picture.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So how many models are you at? Would you say that you're kind of close to solidifying right now?
Three with. I'm working on a fourth.
Okay.
I'm working on a fourth one at the moment, but it's getting there.
Right.
Getting there slowly.
Yeah, of course. All good things take time in development.
Yeah. But I mean, I kind of do that. That's a bit of a pastime thing for me. Just, I'm always doodling new ideas and thinking, oh, maybe I can try this. But
yeah. As far as the design is concerned, do you start with like a goal in mind of what you're going for with that design, or is it really kind of a free-handed,
I think I usually start with kind of like a kind of kernel of an idea where I kind of think, like, I'll see something, or I have a really bad habit for having ideas just before I go to bed, which means I never have successful night's sleep.
Right.
But I'll have like a little kind of image of something in my head and be like, oh, that'd be really cool, and then the design will kind of come from that.
Mm-hmm.
where I'll buy, like I'll want to have a etched plate, or I want to have this certain thing, and I'll be like, okay, so how do I make that work in this context or whatever, and then make it playable. And I built one with a brass plate, and that's one of the models that I'm going to have to kind of do different things to, because it's great, it looks great, but it's so heavy that unless you're into kind of working out, it's not really practical.
Right. Well, it looks to me, and just correct me if I'm wrong, I guess, but like it looks to me like the influences that you're pulling from are not just other guitars. You're not just looking at old 60s Gibsons and being like, I want to make something like that. You're looking at, maybe architecture and art and influences from all over the place. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think because apart from the fact that the other areas outside of the guitar are a gold mine for influence. Mm-hmm. Also, it just it makes you. It makes the design process more difficult, but more likely to be original. Like if you look at a whatever model, a Strat or whatever, and go, oh, I want to make something like that. You're going to make something like that, and I kind of don't want to do that. I don't want to really copy other. I don't want to come up with a guitar that's just another version of a guitar that someone else has made.
Right.
And it's so difficult. If you start from that point, you're definitely going to end up at that point. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be like, oh look, I've made something completely new, and like, oh, surprise, surprise, I've made a telly. I mean, and also I think that if you start with a kind of model as your baseline, everything looks slightly wrong. Like if you change the lines on a telly, it looks wrong. But it doesn't mean that the design isn't better. It's just you've already seen that. Right. So you know what I mean? It's like if you got a picture of your mum's face and moved one of the eyes, you'd be like, ooh, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Not that I ever do that.
Right. Yeah. No, of course not.
On Photoshop.
No, I see what you mean though, because it's like it's you can take a design and tweak it slightly, and it doesn't necessarily mean that your tweaked version is a bad design. It can still be a good design in and of its own right, but if it's still so close to the original, it's just going to look wonky and funky and weird. Yeah. You know what I mean? As opposed to just starting with something completely different.
Absolutely. And so I'm loath to do that. Not to say that I won't do it, because I think that there's a lot of people for whom the guitar is basically, it's either a Strat, a Telly, or a Les Paul, and if it isn't one of those, they're kind of not interested. So you have to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. Yeah. And you kind of have to appeal to that. So it's not like I'm above doing something that tips its hat to a different style, but the stuff that I enjoy is stuff that is less like that and more my own designs and stuff that's different, that doesn't rely on someone else's design or someone else's guitar design. Anyway, I try and take from other stuff if I can.
Yeah, you're mixing in a lot of different what's the word I'm looking for? Different artistic mediums. Is that what I'm trying to say? Because you're doing like the etching, and I've seen that. What is that blue that's on that baritone that you did? That's like it could be paint, but it matches the knobs. So I'm like, how did he get the knobs the same color as the, like, you know what I mean? Like like you're mixing different artistic influences.
Yeah, so, I mean that is paint. That's okay. It's just I just made the knobs and dipped them.
Oh, I got it. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, cool. Great idea.
But yeah, that was really difficult. That was another arrogant thing where I was just like, I'll just paint this top bit a different color and it'll all be neat and that'll be easy. Not so much. Yeah, never done this before. I'm sure I'll be fine. Yeah, but I mean, in some ways that can be a bit of a curse. That kind of attitude of just being like, oh, yeah, I have this kind of stupid thing where I kind of look at the way that other people do things and be like, why don't they do it like this? They must be idiots. And then obviously it turns out there's a reason why no one does things, in a really difficult way. Uh-huh. But sometimes that can lead to, you tearing your hair out. Sometimes it can lead to positive stuff. You're like, oh yeah, actually this is, it's worth it. And I feel like, and then usually halfway through the process, I'll be like, oh, there's a much easier way to do this. But I like to make things as interesting as I can, hopefully without, kind of overdoing them. But I like there to be lots to look at, I guess. But I mean, I come from a kind of background as a painter, so I guess you play to your strengths, don't you? Draw in as much of that as I can.
Yeah. Was that originally what you had set out to do before you started doing guitars? Was to be a painter?
Yeah. I don't paint anymore, but I used to all the time, and it's fun. But the thing that really appealed to me, I mean, when I started building guitars, I was doing it just because. I wanted to do it and see how well I could do it. Mm-hmm. But what kept me doing it was that, if you're a painter, like you spend months painting something, and because it's two-dimensional, you can put it's like the crappiest version of time travel. Like you can put months and months of yourself into something and distill yourself down to a couple of seconds of someone going, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like, oh, why did I do this? Like, if you're a painter and you have a private view, it's like the most unpleasant experience of your life, because it's literally just people walking into years of your life and going, yeah, pretty cool, nice. It's like, all right, but having free wine, it's just shit. So, whereas, like, if you build someone a guitar, like, they love it, and if you do it right, they're going to play it every day for the rest of their life, and it kind of goes on and has a life, and that's much more of a payoff for me. It's just like I've put all this effort in, but now it's actually a thing, and it's going to do something and be, painting is kind of so disappointing in that way. And so guitar building.
Yeah. Well, I've said this before on this show and everything, but you're speaking to it just about making a guitar is I always kind of liken it to making a paintbrush. Like, you're not making the painting, you're making the paintbrush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the guitar is the thing that then the real artist is going to go and make the painting with your paintbrush that you made, you know what I mean? And they're going to go make music with it. And that to me was always kind of cool. And I think a lot of people want to look at guitars as these art pieces, but it can be, I think, in a way, but it's like this functional.
Yeah, it has to be functional.
It has to be functional tool. So.
Yeah, it has to be functional. That, the idea of kind of guitars that are going to sit on it, in a cabinet or whatever, and you go, oh, this is worth however many thousands and thousands of pounds. It's just like, well, I'd like that's why I kind of, apart from the fact that I struggle with kind of fancy finishes, but like the reason I like my guitars kind of having not relic per se, but like a kind of older look, is because I hate the idea of it being like, oh, well, don't, be careful. It's just like, well, what's the point then? Well, I mean, if it's not going to be played, then I'd rather make a painting. I can make that prettier.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I think that if the guitar can't be played in like a dirty rock club, then what's the point?
What's the point?
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can hang them on the shelves all day long and stare at them all day long. But if it's if it doesn't if it doesn't make you want to pick it up and play it, and it might get it dinged around a little bit, then Yeah.
But that's it. If you're going for wall hanging art, there are much better mediums to work with. You know what I mean? Like if that's what it's gonna be, I don't really want to have to put strings on it and a bridge.
Yeah. What in terms of just some of the bare bones of the guitars that you make, what are some of the things that you're putting into it that are unique, or that are you feel like is kind of maybe like an essential part of your formula? Like, are there certain woods that you prefer to use, or are there certain pickups or hardware, or just anything like that where you're like, you know what, this is kind of doing the thing that you want it to do?
Yeah, I mean, wood-wise, I really like walnut, but I don't use it all the time. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who brings me big batches of wood from Croatia, and he brings all sorts. So I'm kind of happy to try anything in that way. I wind my own pickups, which is more for versatility than anything else, because I can wind them the way I want them to be, and I know how. I know what to expect. So if I have a kind of tone in mind, I'm more confident I can get that by doing it myself than by going through someone else's website and going, okay, I'm looking for exactly this.
Was that also another situation where it was trial and error that you just learned to do that, or was that, did you find a book on that, or how did you?
No, that was trial.
Yeah,
trial and error. I think I don't know, arrogance. Like, yeah, whatever. How difficult can it be? Hair thin wire, thousands of coils. Give it a go. Yeah, I got a sewing machine and a hacksaw, and the next thing I knew, I'd fired wire all over my workshop and was supremely pissed off. But I just wanted to see if I could do it, And it's got like it's really like magic, that kind of thing, because it just really doesn't seem like it will work. Like you get a whole lot of wire, wind it on a bobbin, and then put it in a guitar, and it's just like, oh, I've made an electric guitar. It's really weird, and the sound is like you can read loads about hand wound pickups, and everyone will say, oh, there's this reason why they're better, and I always kind of thought that was bullshit, because it's just like, well, the only people writing this are people who hand wind pickups, so I mean they would say that, wouldn't they? But the tone is great, really great, and it's just, for me, like I like to generally go for, perhaps not that wise, but I like to go for versatility, and so for me, just being able to wind and put in my own little coil taps and just do things how I like it, it's great. But yeah, arrogance, that's how I learned to do it.
Okay.
Okay, great. That's you. Cool. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm really selling myself here.
So no, you're doing great. So walnut and random woods from Croatia and your own pickups. And these are kind of some major elements.
Yeah. I mean, the kind of the biggest thing that I think that I do is kind of difficult, but I think worth it, is I just make a lot of my own parts. So like I'll make tail pieces. Like I've got the guy I share a workshop with, does a lot of sculpture, so I can cast stuff in aluminium or.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So and so that kind of thing, being able to make my own little pickup surrounds and covers and stuff like that is really good, because it can be really tricky. I can make my own knobs as well, and it can be a real pain in the ass. But it's that point at which you can really accentuate your own design rather than compromise with, it's like, oh, now I've just got to put on whatever I can buy, which will be, a selection of a couple of things that none of which really match. So, yeah, that's a big part. that's a big part, I think, of what I do. I hope it is, because it's a massive hassle.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, but
yeah, no, that's great. I leaning for me in my career, I've always leaned towards, ultimately getting to the point where everything is made in house, just to be able to do the whole thing myself, and the guys that are doing that, are always like my favorite guitar makers, or the guys that are, fabricating a lot of their own custom parts. How much is technology involved here in this operation? It sounds like you're doing most everything just hand carving the old school way, just very, very low tech. But are there, is there lasers or CNCs or anything like that in the shop?
No, nothing. I'm not, because I'm against it, really. Like, because I'm not. I think that if you can do something that will take the grunt work out of what I do, I'm all for it. I think that, there's a kind of a bit of a misunderstanding about what the positive things of handmade work are. Do you know what I mean? Like, the fact that you spent ages doing it in an impractical way doesn't make your guitar better. It's just,
right.
But at the moment, I just don't have the space, and I don't have the money.
Right.
Laser would be something I would look into. CNC, I actually got access to a CNC machine, but I just don't have any idea how to use it. So I'm going to learn.
Yeah, I'm going to learn. The computer side of it, the 3D modeling and all that.
Yeah, and that the reason I haven't kind of put my mind to learning at the moment is because I haven't become completely set on models yet, and I want to, and I think that doing things by hand, while not being the be all and end all of building, it does help you with kind of ergonomics if you're actually doing, if you're sanding something away, you're like, that is enough, and you can't see that on a computer, whereas you can see it in life when you're doing it by hand. So if I were to do any modeling, it would be based on something I'd made by hand, so I could. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you still want to have that handmade sort of element involved.
Yeah, because I think because you're actually touching it and going, okay, well, this needs to be bigger and that needs to be not bigger, because you can't really make things bigger once. But yeah, so yeah, but I mean, a CNC for a lot of the kind of grunt work would be great, just to, rather than my router just hacking things.
Yeah. Ultimately, is that like the direction that you would like to go in? Is it growing the operation to the point where, where you're utilizing CNC machines, or are you really comfortable with that, doing everything by hand and keeping it at the scale that it's at right now?
I'm comfortable with things. I mean, I'd like to be working a little bit less and being a little bit less tired. So, I mean, I like working with my hands. I like what I do, so I want to keep doing that. But in terms of, there's the problem with that, I guess, is that there's a kind of upper ceiling to what you can make, and where that goes. If there's only so many guitars I can physically make in a year, and so there's only so much money, I guess, I can make in a year. So, and just also, I guess there's an aspect of it where it's just saving your energy for stuff that's more important. If you waste all your energy just getting a basic body shape out of a piece of wood and getting to, basically stage one, then, is that a good use? Is that a good use of your time? Really, something that ultimately a robot could do. Like, I'd rather a robot did it, and then I'll be the person doing the stuff that only I can do.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think I was one of the great pieces of advice from Doug Cower that he said many episodes ago on this show was just about how, a CNC machine is like an employee that you don't have to pay and that never calls in sick.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like, the way to look at it, it can be very helpful, and it can free up your time, which is the most important thing, give you that time to be creative. And
yeah, that's it. If just getting as much out of your time as possible. If you're the creative, if you're the one person at the center of business, and you're the person who is creative and has drive, and you're there just soaring things out and just being tired doing that, then that's not a good use of your time, and you're not gonna improve, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Well, so ultimately, are you, as far as that goes, though, are you, do you see it ultimately being, I always try to ask this question and I never know like how to phrase it, but just
I've heard the question, so I'm ready.
Like the
but
side,
I'll let you phrase
you'll
it.
let me fumble through it, so that I can fully embarrass myself.
That's all right. I think you've got to make up for me of all the terrible things I've said.
Just ultimately, like how, like the size of the company and how big, being sort of on one end of the spectrum of a one-man operation doing everything by hand, or the other end of the spectrum having a shop of 70 guys, cranking out 70 guitars a month or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, where ultimately would you like to be on that?
Yeah, kind of, I guess, just a little bit off the bottom end of the scale.
Yeah.
just above enough people that can be like, ha, suckers. No, I like working on my own. Like, as you're probably picking up, my personality is best on its own in a wood shop. Me and a router, fond friends. But I wouldn't. I don't think I'd do that well with employees anyway. I think working for me would be awful. But I would, a CNC as an employee, but I can just be horrible to all day long.
Yell at it.
Yeah. You'll be like, you can't work any faster. You can't make a cup of tea. Yeah. No, I'd like to, to be honest, I'd like to be pretty much doing what I do now, but with obviously loads and loads more money. Mm-hmm. And less of just the stuff that is difficult for no good reason. Mm-hmm. I would always want to be working on my own because I like that, and I don't dislike any aspect of what I do at the moment. It's just that I was talking to a friend about this the other day. One of my woodworking friends. It's just like it's really annoying when you know that something is easy with a different tool. Mm-hmm. When you're doing something and you're thinking this isn't as difficult as I'm making it. Like right. That would be something I'd get rid of if I could just CNC out some shapes and just be like, okay, and now I can just work with this and that's easy. Yeah. That's where it'd be. Just a little bit off the bottom.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah.
What are there parts that you really enjoy a lot that are a lot of fun? I mean, it looks, your etching, I think, is something that's really cool, and I don't have any idea how you do that. But is that, or is like, are you really into the painting process, or
Well, the painting process, it depends actually. I do a couple of like rust finishes, and I really like that because it's really cool the way it suddenly comes out, and also unlike the other paint finishes, you can't really fuck it up. Like it comes out looking like it's 100 years old, so it's just fine. I like, what do I like? I really like neck profiling.
Okay.
And just carving the body and all that kind of stuff. I like getting out my little convex planes and doing all that stuff. I like a lot of it. I like pickup winding. I really like wiring because it all just feels really kind of like Lego-y. You're just like, okay, that goes there. That's nice. Yeah. To be honest, I like every aspect of it. I find finishing the most stressful only because it's just where all the potential comes to fruition, and it's like, and also if you mess something up, it's just like, right, whereas you drop something on it halfway through, you're just like, that'll sand out, no problem. Whatever, that'll be right. Whereas, at the end, we're just like, just put that down in some dust. Now I've got to do it all again. I'm not a massive fan of that.
Yeah, I don't know many people are. It's really funny. Like, I always ask that question about the process. And it seems like the people that I don't really know what the divide is, like what the separation, but it seems like there's some people that really enjoy finishing, and then everybody else just hates it. And it's always like you're one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anybody that's just like really indifferent to finishing. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't meet those people. They don't exist. It's always either
you're a finishing guy though, aren't you?
Yeah,
I do amazing finishes.
Yeah, I love painting. I mean, it's incredibly frustrating at times too, but when you do it and then you go through all the steps, and if you have a guitar that you didn't manage to fuck up somewhere along the line, everything goes smoothly, and then you have this amazing finish when you're done, like that's the best feeling in the world. You're like, holy shit, look at this thing, you know what I mean? It's glossy and it's smooth and beautiful and pretty, and like that's the coolest, but
I know what you mean. I feel like maybe I'm one day going to find a technique where, I mean, I do kind of feel like that. The rust finishes, it's like that. But then it's just nice because it's just, it kind of, it just appears out of nothing. Because when you put that stuff on, it smells and looks utter shit. You're just like, well, there you go. Like it's like you've got like you start from the absolute bottom. You spend ages making something. You're just like, oh, that's really nice, and then you just coat it in something that's just horrible, and you're like, well, I've made something terrible, and then you kind of reveal it, which is nice.
Sound cool.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's all right.
I'd like to try that sometime. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and if you, depending on how you do it, like you can kind of leave it for a while, and so it'll just kind of rust away, and then it's nice.
I do kind of enjoy unpredictable things like that. I think that one of my favorite tricks to do was like if you have like mahogany and you sand it all out, and it looks perfect, it's just ready to go, ready to paint, and then you just shoot like a metallic finish right to the raw wood, which is like a total no-no. It's like nobody in their right mind would do that. It's insane. But what happens is you get this separation of the colors, where like the metallic flake will sit on the surface in some areas, but then like the whatever the other color that's in the mix that will soak into the grain, but it doesn't do the same pattern all over. You know what I mean? So it'll kind of
cool.
So like,
I'm really intrigued. I want to see this.
I'll send you a link when we hang up here. But
cool.
It's pretty neat. Like Doug Coward did it on this. I think it was like a Spanish cedar top, or maybe the whole body. I think maybe the whole body was Spanish cedar. Anyway, and he sprayed like a blue metallic on it. So there's like silver and blue, and it looks like jeans. It looks like this funky, and it's so great. You know what I mean? And then you just clear coat over that. Or do a satin finish or whatever you want to do. It's a super cool finish, and I just love like the unpredictability of it. And it sounds like you're kind of getting some of that with the rust thing.
That's what I like.
It's like you can just totally like shoot it, and what you get is what you get.
Yeah, and that's really nice because you no one else is going to do that. It's and again, I think you have if you're a kind of one-man shop and you're making 6 guitars a year or whatever, and you're going up against people who are turning out, the factory guitars, where they're just turning out great guitars, and they're turning out more than you could make in a year in half an hour. And, it's just like, are you going to compete against that, but that's what I find. Like, you see some people who build guitars, and you think, you must be mad, like, because you make amazingly beautiful guitars, but you're doing like this kind of really. You're just competing on exactly the same level that these factory giants are competing. It's just like, how are you going to win there? Like, whereas it's just like the kind of stuff that I want to do is just like, I can make that, and you can't. I can't even make it again. I can't do it again. Those kind of finishes where it's just like you couldn't make another one of those if you spent, well, actually probably Fender Custom Shop could probably make another one. Those bastards would probably mock one up in a couple of days. But they don't even know who I am, so it's all right. They won't.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, they're not going to rip you off anytime soon.
Yeah.
No, it's funny that you bring that up. It's just something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. After I talked to Rochelle Rosenkrantz on this show, just about custom guitars,
I heard
about
that one.
true. Yeah, she's fantastic, and I just think that true custom guitars, where it's like just individually tailored to the player, because every player is different. That's really kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes I think about it, and I'm just kind of like, why doesn't everybody do that? Like, why isn't every guitar maker, just focused on individual instruments and individual custom, you know what I mean, for individual players? Like, are we custom guitar makers, or are we factory production guitar makers?
Yeah.
When you're a one-man shop or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess, I mean, you've got the problem of how long it takes and how much someone is willing to pay. Some I mean, that's the real issue. It's just like, I'd love to make guitars for, I'd love to sit down with someone for 6 months and chat about what they're really into and what we could make for them, and then make them something really amazing. But it's just like, are they going to pay my mortgage while we do that?
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone is going to do that, please get in touch, because I'm game. I'm ready. We're ready when you are. Yeah. But I mean, there's got to be a middle road, isn't there? Because I find it so weird the way you see people who, they're developing all these skills to take on industry giants, and it's just like, it's not going to happen, is it? I mean, you're not going to make and it's so weird. It's just like, why would you take on Fender what they do? I mean,
like, let them be them. Let them do their thing.
Yeah,
and
I mean, because you're never gonna do that better than they do it. They invented it. I mean, or maybe they didn't invent it, but I mean, as much as possible, they've got that covered. So don't do that. Do something different. Do what they can't do, which is to be versatile and unique. It's just like, go into one of their factories and say, I'd like that, but just a little bit different. It's just like, nope. You can't have that.
That's not. Well, then that's a custom shop instrument, and it starts at $7,000. Yeah.
Well, that's it. And So, and I've been kind of, what's the word? Formalizing those kind of ideas. But I've thought like that ever since I started thinking about it seriously. It's just like, I'm not going to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to try and be anyone else. I'm just going to do the things that I can do. And I think, part of the reason that I wouldn't, where I would use CNC, but I wouldn't use laser etching, because I do kind of chemical etching with light sensitive film. And the reason I do that is a pillar of my personality. Cheap, but also because you can't do it the same. Like, you could, and I mean, that can be really annoying sometimes when you're just like, when you've got one bit that you really want to come out perfect and it doesn't. But at the same time, you're kind of making artifacts. I make something that's just like, you couldn't make another one of those. Like, you could make something that was you could make something similar, but you couldn't make the same, and that, to me, is really important.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. I think that's a really good thought and a really good philosophy.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep
This
you
is
on
so
the
cool.
line. I'm going to
Okay.
keep you on the line. And thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. I've got to say bye in a slightly awkward way, haven't I?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
Okay,
So,
cool. Okay.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Luthierist Podcast. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.